Greetings and salutations, everyone. We've explored almost every inch of the Warcraft universe, from the highest peaks to its spider-infested undergrounds, from kingdoms decorated in gold to ruins of what was. We've seen it all. Almost. I'm sure you're curious to know what's left to explore, or what's on the other side of the world. I know I am. As of late, especially in Battle for Azeroth and in the War Within, we've gone to places I've always wanted to go to. We've gone to so many places that have been on a checklist of mine for quite some time. And with it, that list is getting smaller and the map's starting to run out of room, too. But that doesn't fully mean it's empty. Not yet. So, dust off your mount spurs, because it's time to take a look at a few places I would like to visit in the near future. We're kicking this off old school style with a deep cut from Warcraft 3. Back in the days of the formation of the New Horde, the one we're more familiar with today that was led and really created by War Chief Thrall. This orcish horde, in the aftermath of leaving the Eastern Kingdoms to sail directly to Kalimdor, found themselves on an island. This island belonged to the Darkspear tribe. That's right, that Darkspear tribe, baby. The first race to join hands with this new horde. On the Isle, they encountered the current leader of the Darkspears, Sen'jin, Vol'jin's father. Together, the Darkspears and the Orcs form a bond, killing Kultirans and Murlocs alike, who threaten their very existence, but were overpowered in the aftermath of their victory, and then were imprisoned to be sacrificed to the Naga sea witch, Zarjira. But nothing holds down the Horde, not for long at least, and the Darkspears, they never die.
Sen'jin.
Oh. Except Sen'jin, apparently. Prior to his execution, or death, Sen'jin told his people to place any trust in Thrall and leave this place. Together, their people depart from their isle as a volcano erupted and sank the island completely. The Darkspear, of course, would be led by Vol'jin later, and with time, they would avenge Sen'jin and kill Zarjira. Never looking back, as they remained on Kalimdor within the Horde, and the Orcs on their new home of the Echo Isles. Now, if I had a nickel for every time there's an island destroyed by a volcano with Naga on it, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. While the fate of the Darkspears Island is uncertain, I'd not put it past good old Blizzard to revitalize such a place and have us return to it. Just like Khazan, which was also seemingly destroyed by lava. And it also survived its fiery fate. Darkspears taking back their old land against some Naga, Murlocs, and who knows what else. That sounds like a grand time to me. That said, I imagine it would be a perfect conclusion to an arc that initially began in Legion, and had a little pause during Shadowlands. Vol'jin being reborn as a Low of Kings would be a satisfying conclusion to an almost 10-year storyline, and what better setting to have it all happen on than on the islands that the Darkspear ancestry somewhat began. I hope you like pirate puns, because we're about to talk about Plunder Isle, me hearty. Yarr. The Plunder Isles is the location and the base of those Blighters, the Bloodsail Buccaneers. They are a prominent group of pirate that's constantly at odds with Booty Bay and the Blackwater Raiders, or rather the Blackwater Cartel now. The Bloodsails are still currently a constant threat to any adventurer that dare braves the sea, and still something that we've had to deal with over time. And this could be an apt time for us to set sail to the South Seas and see what the hubbub is all about down there. And what better way to sail out than have our very own boat and take some of your closest friends out to sea? The Bloodsails, or any pirates for that matter, are less of a world-ending threat, and are more of a tertiary villain that we'd deal with in a place brimming with potential that starts out small, but is expanded upon with something bigger, or maybe worse. Maybe a pirate curse of some kind, Davy Jones in this shit. Maybe it could finally lead to something to do with the Night Squall. Remember him? He's a Night Elf pirate captain who's managed to sail in many places, and is currently recruiting several different pirate flags to form a massive fleet of pirates to claim something big. To what end? We don't know, but I could definitely see him using the Plunder Isles as his base. And while we have quite a handful of pirate strongholds strewn across Azeroth, I'd see the Plunder Isles as the ultimate bastion of pirates. Think of Freehold on steroids. And if and when we get to explore the land, it'll be awash with booty. No, not that kind, you pervert. I mean treasure, toys, housing decor, transmog, especially those eye patches. Now that's the real treasure. Bananas are a rich source of potassium. Alternatively, Tel'abim is a rich source of bananas, and another zone I'd love to see in the near future. Tel'abim is a rather mysterious island close to Kalimdor and Kazan. Not much is known about it except for its chief import of bananas and beverages. Home to several monkeys, gorillas, and probably Hosen, I'd imagine. It's a jungle that they can thrive while eating bananas and slinging poo at each other like a Wiggles concert performed at Burning Man. And is even a place that pirates like the Night Squall I mentioned earlier have even planted their treasures upon in a major way. It's most certainly a very barren and empty location, at least lore-wise for right now. Though there is potential for an island that many would go ape over. Lore-wise, Blizzard could go ahead and add a forgotten civilization hidden away here. Make an entirely newly made capital formed by the Hosen, possibly. Maybe an old god is stored there, or some kind of Titan facility underneath. The possibilities are endless. I think with nothing, you can make anything, at least. And if not, well, that's bananas. Nathreza, the homeworld of the Dreadlords. Well, at least we thought for a while, until recently. We know that the Dreadlords were created in Revendreth by Nathreza, with a purpose of causing chaos and disarray throughout the cosmos. And at some point during their banishment from their realm, they claimed Nathreza as a home, filling it with their many dark secrets and historical records. The Legion that they even joined used it as such a place to keep record of their own dark dealings. However, the betrayer Illidan would happen upon the planets to uncover what he needed to end the Burning Legion. Once Illidan had what he needed, the Demon Hunter would cast his own spell that would cause immense damage to their very worlds. While Nathreza was not destroyed, it became a reminder of what once was. Twisted by the damage Illidan caused during his siege, completely inescapable. I'll admit it doesn't seem as glamorous or sunshiny as the previously mentioned places before, but lore-wise, I think it makes perfect sense to visit Nathreza and finish what Illidan began. If you think about it, it's an ideal hiding spot for Nathreza as he plots his next move. It may even be the reason we go there in the first place. To be it by choice or by force. There's a lot of folks that feel rather inundated with cosmic conflict, especially as of late, but I think it'd be rather cool to visit another world and to learn more about the Dreadlords and their plight. Ultimately, though, it'd make a very interesting and very sus expedition, as these Dreadlords disguise themselves as our allies, among us. Alright, I know it's kind of cheating, and I know we've been here before, albeit in the dungeon. But I can't help but scratch this spider-sized itch. It's Azjol-Nerub. During Warcraft 3, we went through the very tunnels of the Nerubian Kingdom. Arthas had used this underground as a sort of shortcut to get to Icecrown and stop Illidan from destroying the Lich King and all of Northrend. While there, we even got to see Anub'arak, king of Azjol-Nerub, whom we would squash in a dungeon, and again later on within the Wrath of Lich King, when we faced him in the Trial of the Crusader, a raid killed him. Not to spray the 10 to 25 man group, but yeah, we did do that. Fun fact, did you know that Azjol-Nerub was to be its own subterranean zone, complete with Naxxramas-esque temples, old god servants, and wall-climbing mounts? Unfortunately, the technical limitations weren't able to see this vision come to life, so the zone was ultimately cut down to 2 dungeons. Though we have seen that dream realized with the more recent zones, such as Zarlak and Azj-Kahet. I think it's high time that we see Azjol-Nerub as a fully fleshed out zone, complete with its history told from the perspective of the undead Nerubians, or some living ones, that have been dealing with their own follies down in the underground. Well, minus the wall-crawling mounts, those give me the heebie-jeebies. We're set to return to Northrend in Last Titan, and considering the whole continent is going to get a modernized facelift, I'm hoping we see the kingdom restored in some way, perhaps split by an undead and living faction, respectively, engaged in a bitter, web-slinging civil war, and through the perspective of the Alliance and Horde, we could see such empires join together again, no longer under the thrall or threat of the Scourge, or each other. And while I make jokes earlier about Anub'arak, I do think he was done dirty, specifically during the events of the Trial of the Crusader. Arthas had raised him once again as a lifeless puppet to test the strength and will of the heroes. But as we have seen in Warcraft 3, he was still the leader of Azjol-Nerub, and maybe it's time to rectify that one last time, or see his leadership passed down to his own next of kin. Even in case we do end up returning to Azjol-Nerub, just be ready to break out the raid, both the spray and the group. Must have AOTC though. This may require a bit of an explanation, so I hope you're ready for a quick lesson on Titan planets. This will be covered on a quiz later. Just kidding. I don't do quizzes around here. As we all know, at least with Azeroth, Koresh, and Argus, Titans, or World Souls, are birthed from the planet, hatched like a little baby chickens or snakes. Now I want chicken nuggets. Whether or not the planet survives is very speculative. I think one example we can use, though, is Argus, which was once a World Soul incubating within the core of the planet, only to be plucked out and made into an instrument of death. But in the aftermath of its creation, Argus is seemingly still afloat and not dying. I mean, it's dying, but it was already in a rough shape from the Legion's own doing. So, one has to wonder then, if the world survives the birth of these Titans, doesn't that mean a planet was left behind then? I'm curious to see whatever the result may be after a Titan is born, or destroyed by whatever cosmic force, be it the Void or Sargeras. You'd have to wonder if there was any life left on the world that it can be sustained. Much like how there's life being built again on Koresh. It feels almost perfect for us to explore the storyline down the road, especially as we reach the World Souls Saga epic climax. What would be the ramifications be for Azeroth, the world, be after the Titan is born? Or, Rexxar forbid, corrupted and ultimately destroyed? Would all life decay and wither away, like one giant Brackenhide hollow dungeon? It's a multitude of questions I think we could answer if we explore the worlds that have already birthed the Pantheon. What would Sargeras, Aman'Thul, and Agramar feel like as planets? Would they be bereft of life, lingering with demons, filled with records and catalogs of all other worlds, or be war-torn? As I made it apparent with Nathreza earlier, seeing other worlds would be exciting and would show us the Warcraft universe is much larger than we anticipated. If it was evident enough during Warcraft 2 when we crossed the Dark Portal and was introduced to Draenor, it's evident now. So let us explore the universe and see what lies beyond. Quick sidebar, but how would we feel about returning Khazan once again? No, not Undermine, but that was a lot of fun to go all in with the goblin lore, but I'm talking about the island itself, what lies above. I know I was kinda cheesing with Azjol-Nerub, which was a dungeon, and I know we've seen Khazan above and underground, but it's currently inaccessible and is very different from when we left it. Sort of. At least in part. The whole island has been radically shifted after Deathwing ravaged the island, and I'm curious to see what has become of the starting area and Crapopolis. The whole shebang. Might as well throw Undermine in there too, and see what it looks like with Khazan layered on top of it. Which reminds me, did you know that there's concept art of Khazan being a part of Undermine? It's even got a whole gondola system that carried you by boat through the island to the underground. Of course, the entire concept shifted to give it a more GTA Fast and the Furious aesthetic, but hey, I think it would have been pretty rad to see what could have been. We've recently been able to return to the Wandering Isles, so I love the same for the goblins too, especially with how much things have changed radically with the goblins in Undermine. The political changes in the Undermine could easily reflect upon the above ground island, for better or for worse. Alright, one last location, and it's very peak for you RTS lovers like myself. The Stonetalon Peak. Stonetalon Peak was a very iconic locale from the Warcraft 3, and it was there where Thrall, Cairn, and Jaina Proudmoore ventured throughout its dark and earthy depths, confronting various forces, helping out Azun, a Night Elf princess, finding gemstones, and much, much more. The Caverns itself was the setting where we established the first union between the Horde and the Alliance. An oracle dwelled within, but the heroes found it was actually the Prophet Medivh that brought these forces together and convinced them to align and stand against the Burning Legion, as they were about to invade Kalimdor after ravaging Lordaeron prior. While the truce and unity was shaky at best, very shaky, Thrall and Jaina remained steadfast allies and friends throughout several years of conflict. Cairn, on the other hand, as time passed since the Third War and the Legion's defeat at Mount Hyjal, the Stonetalon Peaks, specifically the Caverns, have remained quite dormant, unvisited, and irrelevant. It is ripe with so much potential to finally see a return to where we first saw the union between the factions. To fully explore Princess Azun's full story and see what creatures have dwelled within since then. We've seen Stonetalon change over time, and through its many different conflicts, it's time to return to the peak for one last story. I could see it represented in WoW as a substone, mega dungeon, raid, delve, even those new labyrinths that they're adding. Hey, it's like a mega dungeon delve. What can I say? Sounds great. Anything at all, really. It would be perfect to have Thrall, Jaina, possibly Bane, in place of his late father, to return to this place for old time's sake, and possibly reunite with Medivh or free Azun from the Oracle's stone prison. Or to simply retell their story to those who need to hear it. This location is what defines the rocky relationship between the Horde and the Alliance, and gave way to the on-again and off-again conflict between each faction in the modern setting, and is a place that I would love to see shown and be represented for a very long time. Alrighty, that covers all of the locations that I would love to see someday in the world of Warcraft. Please, please, please tell me all of the places that you would like to see that I might have missed. or tell me what stories you'd like in the ones that I've listed. Let me know in the comments down below. Anyways, thank you all for watching. I've been Khono Chronos, your lovely time demigod and host. Be sure to like, share, subscribe for more videos like this one in the future. Be sure to join the Discord for more discussions with myself and the community, and a special thanks, like always, to the patrons and YouTube community members to help keep this channel alive and well. But until next time, my friends,